Hi, everybody. I'm at the park. I'm going to get out, get ready for my walk. It's about 2 o'clock. And about 78, 77 degrees, something like that. But I wanted to get on here and, well, this is on my mind because it's really outrageous and disturbing on all levels. And every American and everybody in the world should be focused in on this because this is about the treat and the governments. Okay. So we look at, what's his name? Lindsey Graham. It was on um, World News Report. He just did a video on it. So Lindsey Graham is telling, the world that they need to funnel all this money into Ukraine because the reason why they're fighting for Ukraine is because it's a really rich land. I guess it's got lots of minerals and all that type of thing. So I guess it's really like the richest land in the world that's got all these minerals, right? So they don't want Russia to have it because Russia will sell them to China. Um, and so they're fighting for it and feeding all this money, and so they can get partnership with Ukraine in these minerals. Well, what's disturbing about it is it's our money, it's our tax dollars. We work for this money, we work for this, and it doesn't get funneled in here. What it's being used for is to keep these minerals out of Russia's hands and keep it out of China's hands because they don't want them to have it. What right do we have? Who gives them the right to make that decision, right? Who gives them the right to use our money for that purpose? So, in other words, they're destroying the land by taking down and moving the people out of Ukraine. So the people who have right to Ukraine, the rights to it, the native people, they've had their rights stripped from them, moved them out of the country, killing off their own people to fight for this minerals, these valuable minerals, just to keep them out of China and Russia's hands. It's so outrageous. I can't believe it. So much life was being killed, and right from under them, they just got stripped from their land. I mean, does our nation really think about that? We can have our rights stripped from right underneath of us by another country or nation if they have enough money to feed and fight for war. And the people of the land have no say in it because of their governments and the corruptness of the governments and making these deals to fund. So they've got trillions of dollars put into this project right now, which it's a project of, instead of working and finding a solution of saving life and coming to an agreement, it's always about, like, it goes back to Eisenhower. We want to be the first, or I think it's Eisenhower, we want to be the first to get on the moon before, Russia does. And didn't, they all fake that because I don't believe any of us has ever made it to the moon or allowed to go to the moon. Like I said, from my observation, the moon is a projector. So, they're going to land on the projector, that kind of like thing. So that's why I don't believe any of those moon landings, and I don't believe any of them being up in space because they've already debunked that, showing them with puppet strings on them, flipping through the air. Why would you need that if you're going to be floating around? So it's just such a big show, this being. But the sad part about it is that we're funding Israel is, killing off all that life. They're all doing it for political gains and the gain of land, right? So if we look at Israel's fighting for, the Palestinian land. Palestine wants to have their own state, their own land. But Israel's taking it, trying to take it from them and do everything to take it from them. It's so bizarre that, and our money, our hard-earned money is being funded without our say-so by this government and the the Congress and the House. I mean, I even look at that. That was even going through my mind too. How, like, for example, they were supposed to get rid of the FBI director or whatever. They got everything, paperwork, they're going to force him to quit and everything. And then all of a sudden, somebody from, I think it was the Democrat Party, puts it on hold and stops it. Well, keeping him in the job, keeping him doing what he's doing, but they just put it on hold. Now no one talks about it. It's like they bring it all up and expose him, and then they put it on hold, and and then they bring up another topic. They keep the people busy. It's such it's like a drama show. It's like those soap operas that they have, but they never solve anything. They expose their crime, like Fauci, right? They're even his recordings and his responses, and he just goes and just lies right to him all the time. He just lies to him. He doesn't get held accountable for him. Matter of fact, he gets a job offer for a university. It's so outrageous. I cannot believe. Why isn't he in jail for the deaths that he obviously caused, the force of an injection that didn't need to be forced, and then calling the people their ignorant ideology. Who cares about their ignorant ideology? Force them to take it, tell them they can't go to work unless they have it, So he's been exposed for saying all that. Matter of fact, they played a recording of it, but he's not held accountable. He's not put in jail. It's the most bizarrest thing. Trump, 34 counts of felony fraud or whatever thing, and he's still allowed to run for president. No big deal, right? And he doesn't go to jail. But his advisors and everybody below him that were working for him, I remember it was just months ago when they all had to turn themselves in. Even Trump's lawyer, they had to turn themselves in for jail. I think there was like 18 or 19 of them. They turned themselves, I think, into Florida or New York, somewhere like that, and they had to serve a jail time, right? It's so interesting. And now one of Trump's advisors has to report July 1st to serve his 6 months in jail for, his part of the Trump camp, his advisor team. So it's kind of interesting how everybody that worked for Trump, or even the people from January 6th, they're all still in jail. They're not getting out. No one's pulling them out or speaking up for them or talking. They just went in, and it's out of people's minds. It's so bizarre. I can't believe it. So like I was saying, it's corrupt on both sides. Both sides are just playing the people like a fiddle. And I try to bring it up and I try to share it with people, but people just can't see. They can't see. They're totally blinded by it. It's like Trump can do no wrong. It's even though he's got all this against him, Biden can't do any wrong. And even though he can't even walk, he can't even speak, and he's not even doing a dang thing for the last 3.5 years, except for making other people are telling him what to say, and he's just making them from my perspective, it's Obama that's still in power. He's still making all these decisions because of how they're always focusing on Obama during his term, and showing Obama going over to the king and stuff like that. When if anybody, it should be Biden going over to the king, not him, or him showing up at all these places, and here Biden's walking around in circles all lost, and everybody's crowded around Obama like, this is the real man in charge. And I don't know, people are just so blinded. And then you got that joke show, Obama with the first trans man, so it's a man in a dress playing as the first lady. No one says anything about that. I was like, wow, what is going on in our world? How are these people not seeing this? How are they not seeing, especially when, Lindsey Graham is, I knew there was something vital over there, that the reason why that they're always funding, because remember I was telling you both parties are doing it. Both parties are funding it because the whole backbone of it is how rich the land is, and they don't want China or Russia having it. So it goes back to, in the old days, uh, get this, don't let Russia have this before we do, don't let this country have it before we do. It's like we always have to be number one, we always have to be the sheriff of the whole world. And it's getting probably really irritating for a lot of other people. So that's why I was saying, I think that something's going to happen, and it's going to happen to the land of America, because I'm trying to figure out what's rich in America that other countries would like, would like from us. And perhaps that's why, if you think back in the 80s and the movies like Red Dawn and stuff, how all of a sudden we get invaded, unexpectedly get invaded, and the people get taken and stuff like that. So it's kind of like thinking when, Ukraine, you got the people that live there and stuff, and next thing you know, they're getting invaded and they have to move out and they're walking in caravans. They did that in, Palestine, they're just shooting up the children, and the hospitals and stuff like that, all just to get a leader, to get somebody in control of that. So it's like, to them, it's like we're pawns in this whole thing. And when the pawns start waking up, maybe they'll start storming these places and make them stop giving our money away, get them out of power, instead of repeating history over and over and keep electing them in. That's why I was saying, even Lindsey Graham was saying that Trump started it. He started sending things over there. So Trump is involved too. So Trump started it with Germany, something with Germany, because what they're going to do is, I guess Americans are going to make a deal with Germany, and they're going to be some type of partnership in with Ukraine. So that's why those other countries are pitching in too, because all these deals are being made, to share these riches of gold, but to keep Russia and China away from it. Again, who do we have the right to do? And to use our money, the people's money, for their own gain and their own plans, and then only finding out that, this plan after a couple of years of bombing and killing and moving out their people out of their homeland. That has got to be the worst thing ever, because if anything in history of America we should know is when you take people out of their own homeland, their own rights, just for another country or a government that wants to go in and rob it and steal it and profit off of it. And that's sad. It's really sad, and we have no right to do it. How are we going to have peace when nobody can, not even one government can work with each other, because they hate each other so bad because they want it before the other gets it? There's a bad apples somewhere in the top field that's making all these calls. All these bad apples have got to go. My perspective. Have a great day, everybody. Happy Monday.